Hi there everyone, Lars back with a special anime recommendation brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and an anime that you should not be sleeping on is The Two Perfect Saints. I'm honestly not surprised that this anime hasn't been getting more reviews and love from the general community because, well, it's definitely not the highest budgeted production that is out there this season, nor is it the fastest pace, nor does it have isekai or any of that other kind of junk, nor does it have some bombastic, steamy romance. And yet, this anime has done some amazing things. It's taken some of the most hated tropes out of current anime and has twisted them and turned them into an absolutely beautiful story. One that I dare say has reclaimed dignity and beauty from tragedy? That sounds really crazy, so let me explain. The Two Perfect Saint is a story about this young woman, Saint Phila, who is considered to be the greatest magic user of her generation, not just in her kingdom, but across the entire known world. She has been born into a family of prestigious saints, whose job it is to protect the world from demons who seep up from another plane of existence and seek to conquer the entire planet. Using her offensive magic and special magical wards, she's been able to protect her homeland. But not only that, she has striven to be the absolute best that she can be. She's not only a great magic user, but she's also a great martial artist. She is a politician. She is a theologian. She is a chemist. She is all of these different things. And what we come to learn is that this girl who has become overpowered, which is one of the big hated tropes, is all because she has been so thoroughly abused by the people who should have loved her. Not just her fiancé, but even her parents, along with her entire kingdom, basically throw her out. They sell her to another kingdom because they think that she doesn't care truly about them. She looks so weird. She acts so weird. And they recognize she is incredibly overpowered. And they see that as a threat to themselves. So they're like, you know what, we just gotta get rid of you. You're not so much a human as you are a monster in your own right. And this leads to the other trope, which some of you know is one of my most hated tropes in current anime, and especially in isekai, of I joined the hero's party, and then I got thrown out, but then I'm going to show them that I'm actually the best, and that they never should have done that. The shoujo equivalent to this is that I was in a relationship with a loving husband, a loving boyfriend, a loving fiancé, and then they rejected me because I was not as perfect or as amazing as they thought I was. But I'm going to prove them wrong. And honestly, if you've read enough current adventuring manga or watched enough current adventuring anime recently, you'll realize that these two tropes go together hand in hand. The overpowered protagonist and the protagonist who's been betrayed by the people who should have loved them. And it is so overdone. It is wish fulfillment with very cheap emotional payoff. And I say that because the whole idea of being betrayed by the people who should have loved you is a very cheap and quick way to get the audience to be like, oh, you poor thing, I really do care about you, I want you to be great and happy. And then they show just how amazing they are, and then their life becomes just so exponentially better. If it's a guy, usually through killing a whole bunch of stuff and then acquiring his perfect harem. And then for the girl, it is by immediately finding the perfect man, him falling head over heels for her, and then she's like, oh, but I can't, I'm so flustered, until finally she's like, okay, sure, we'll get together. So with stories like that, with tropes being executed like that, what makes The Two Perfect Saints a good story? Well, first of all, it is this. It handles an overpowered protagonist very, very well. Because despite all of her powers, she has been abused and used. She's been manipulated. And throughout the show, you get to see how that was done and how that has affected her. No amount of power can save her from those deep personal scars. And it takes other people who are willing to work with her, who are willing to love her for who she is, to slowly help her become the better person that she needs to be. And this is one thing about the show that a lot of people immediately rejected for, is that it is indeed a very slow-paced story. But it has to be slow-paced in order for it to feel realistic and earned for Fila to become the heroine that she needs to be. And on top of that, allows us to just get a lot of really great moments with her, because she's not just all-powerful and all-knowing. No, she's someone who has no real quirks or hobbies other than that she goes all cosmic, wondering, and confused when someone acts in a way that she just does not expect, or is kind to her because she has never known that her entire life long. This is what leads us into another thing that's really great about this story, is that most other anime manga which use the whole I was kicked out of the hero's party trope, or the shoujo equivalent of I was rejected by my fiancé, those stories normally are just like, okay, this tragic thing happened, now begins a new life. Oh no, au contraire, with the Two Perfect Saint, we get to learn throughout the entire story through Fila's sister Mia, who's the one person from her old life who truly loved and supported her. She goes on a journey to learn why Fila was rejected, and the tragedy just continues to mount from episode to episode. It keeps getting worse, and you're like, holy crap, who are these people? How can they be so awful? And yet it makes sense. All of the horrible choices are perfectly explained, and while in some cases they are illogical, they are emotional and connect with the villains who hurt Fila. As a result, you continue to hate them more and more. You're rooting for Mia to get her revenge on them, which leads to an equally strong subplot within the story of Fila playing politics within her kingdom to undermine her own parents and the second prince who kicked out her sister, and basically start a revolution, all while there is an apocalypse on the way. This is what George R.R. Martin wanted to write with the Game of Thrones series, and honestly failed to do, because George R.R. Martin only knows how to write shocking moments. He is good with weaving great moments of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next, but then he never really delivers on any of them, except for the Red Wedding. Whereas with Mia's subplot, oh, it just keeps building and building, becoming more and more intricate and interesting as other parties get involved, and you can just tell how this one girl is so fixated on revenge, she's willing to sacrifice her entire kingdom just to stick it to everyone who destroyed her sister. But then, in the meantime, we get to see Fila become a much better person, become so much surer of herself, learn to connect with other people, learn what it means to love and to receive love, because she's only ever received it from her sister. She knows what that's like, but what about other people? Because she's never had a positive connection with other people, not even with her master who trained her to be a saint, which there is a horrifying revelation about what happened there in the most recent episode. It is really heartbreaking and really cool all at the same time, and this is where the beauty and the dignity actually gets reclaimed out of the tragedy, because as Mia uncovers more and more tragedy in regards to her sister, we get to see Fila rising above it all. Yes, she is overpowered, but she has to earn her position in the new kingdom. She has to earn relationships as she goes along, and she builds them, and we see her learning from her interactions with other people, and getting to see just how beautiful and positive the world and other people can be. And it's just incredible. It's a great juxtaposition that does not reject or overcome the tragedy that she has gone through by just simply saying, well, she's so powerful and she's so great, she's a girl boss and she deserves it. No, she overcomes it through the help of other people. And this just makes it so beautiful, because this is what a tragedy that's supposed to have a happy ending is all about. Or in the really old sense of storytelling, a comedy. A comedy was not about laughter and hee ho ho ho, but it was all about taking someone out of the worst situation possible and taking them into the absolute best. The Two Perfect Saints is, in that vein, the perfect ancient comedy, taking a girl from the worst situation she could ever have been in and transforming her into the woman she was always meant to be, and putting her into the best situation possible, where there are people who love her and cherish her for who she is and not just for what she is. And also we get to see her finding her strength and her courage, her own autonomy, and as she reaches out to her sister to save her sister, as her sister's destroying their homeland for the sake of revenge, but she has to also balance out the fact that there is an apocalypse coming, and Sophia has to navigate the intricacies and nuances of all these various decisions and politicking and relationships in order to find the best solution possible in order to save not only the world, but most importantly, her sister, the one who has always meant the most to her. Yes, she is overpowered, but she requires other people and navigating the circumstances before her in order to make that happen. This makes her an overpowered character who becomes suddenly incredibly relatable and relevant. That is beautiful. That's amazing. That's something that we ever hardly see in fiction today. And so this is why I feel that despite all of the negative things I've seen online about this show, where it's like, it's just too boring, it's just too slow, it doesn't look quite as bombastic and fun as other shows. Oh yes, its animation budget is definitely not where it ought to be, but the animators have done their absolute best with a very small budget, and they've made it look absolutely gorgeous to complement a really great story. Yes, it is a slow burn, but it's a slow burn that has fantastic emotional payoff. Not anything that's going to move you to tears, but your heart will genuinely go out to these characters, and you will want to come back week after week to see what happens next. This is a great ride with so much complexity woven naturally into it that it doesn't feel forced at all. This is amazing, and this is why I feel that you should absolutely give The Two Perfect Saint your consideration and your time. So, with all that being said, please leave a comment about some of your most hated anime tropes in the comments, and if there are any stories that have ever redeemed them, because I would love to see that, and we might have more videos about that in the future. And if you'd like to support the work that we do here, please subscribe if you haven't already done so, or even more, you could check out the books that I have published. Links for them are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.